Give it a few minutes. Hopefully, some people will come in here. Today's topic is the off season for Florida gardening. As a Florida gardener, I know and understand what the off season is. It is not what most people think it is, and in truth, there is no true off season. It just changes. So, it is not the vegetable hot season here. It's the off season for most traditional vegetables. The simple fact of the matter is, it's too hot, it's too humid, and the ultraviolet radiation is too high. What most people consider a warm season vegetable like tomatoes, no, not this time of year. Surprisingly enough, to most people, our tomato season starts in September and goes until May, beginning of June. Right now, if you have some in the ground, it's not going to be putting fruit on. It might finish ripening up what fruit is hanging before it dies, or it might just die, such as is. Things like lettuce, you can forget about it. If it doesn't burn immediately, it bolts. Pak choy, carrots, radishes, anything that is a brassica, instantly toast. It's just kind of how it is. You never know until you start to actually do it. Now, most people I meet online are always, oh, congratulations on that huge grow period you got. You don't really get any frost. You can grow year round. Well, yes and no. See, this time of year, when the heat and the humidity and the bugs and 15 minutes outside and you sunburn, yeah, the plants have problems with that too. Now, there are some vegetables that we can grow through this time of year. We can do tropical vegetables that you northern folks can't do at all. We can do okra. We can do eggplant. Eggplant's big this time of year. Okra. Right now, it's the beginning of the okra season. You really don't want to plant your okra in Florida until rainy season has really set up. And that's usually in about 2 weeks from now. I have some in the ground now, but I'm having to water. So, it's just how it is. Now, you can, however, switch gears, and that switching gears has to do with perennials more than anything. That's where you're talking about whether or not you're growing fruit trees. Now, we can grow a lot of really interesting fruit trees here in Florida. I'm sitting underneath a mulberry. For a lot of the country, that's not that interesting. It's a weed tree. But I've got mangoes, oranges, lemons, tangerines, bananas, loquats, castiels, star fruit, avocado. I can't even, honestly, I would have to sit down or walk around the yard and write down a list of all the different fruit trees I got. Not all of them are producing yet. I do have some fruit trees that the northerners can grow, like I've got peaches and plums and pears. And I had apples for a while, but I can grow a lot of the tropicals. And that's where we are getting a lot of our produce during the summer. It's not the vegetables. Now, here is one of the more interesting things, is that, well, the simple fact of the matter is, this time of year, we go inside. From about now until the first, second week of September, we're inside. It's 98 degrees, 100% humidity, and 15 minutes outside for most people equals a sunburn. During the winter, though, we basically feed the United States of America down here in Florida. And that's something a lot of people don't know. 90% of the fresh fruits and vegetables that feed the United States, especially the Northeast, during the winter, came from right here. I'm talking like literally right here, not some other part of the state, but within 8 miles of me. Tomatoes, which anybody who follows around knows that I go and work in a greenhouse during the winter, and it's tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, and herbs. Massive amounts. I mean, massive amounts. A lot of that gets shipped up north. We're the first in the nation for the peaches, for plums. Those get shipped up north. Watermelon. When your kids are getting out of school and the watermelons hit the market up there, that's us. We do lychees and mangoes. And everybody knows Florida's famous for its citrus, though the citrus industry is not what it used to be here. See, they're trying to convert as many citrus groves into designer retirement homes. That's going to be a thing. Yeah, that is a thing. Oh, this is our off season. So what am I doing in my off season to get ready for next season? Well, for starters, my off season is changing gears. So I'm producing something. Tropical plants like this, semi-tropical fruit trees, things like that. I am, however, also getting my beds ready. We only get a short amount of time in the morning and a short amount in the evening. And yes, I do pick a lot of the fruit myself. A lot. I'm getting my beds ready. So I'm going out and I'm getting my compost this time of year. I'm getting manures this time of year. I'm making biochar, try to make that year round. I'm getting wood ash. I'm balancing out the soil as best I can. Sometimes it requires testing, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm also doing things like covering the beds with plastic or vinyl or tarps. Mostly whatever I can get my hands on. Sometimes it's sheet metal. I'm doing a technique that's called solarizing. Now, solarizing is a mix of two things going on. One, it's heating up the soil with the sun and capturing it underneath the plastic. What that does is it sterilizes the first 6 to 8 inches of soil, and this helps greatly with dealing with invasive weeds, which we have some serious invasive problems down here. It also makes it a lot easier when it's time to plant. So instead of me having to sit there and weed and pull up the grass, because the grass will just grow right over it during the off season, I just roll up the plastic, set it to the side, and I already have all my amendments ready. I go ahead and I get my amendments in. I give it a couple weeks, then I plant. So I'll be doing that in about 6 to 8 weeks. Right now I've got a few covered, and the ones I have covered right now are because those beds have a specific problem dealing with an invasive grass that I need to wipe out completely in my gardens, and it's the best thing I've found to do that. I actually make most of my own soil, And no, at this point, I don't need any help picking fruit. A couple months ago, I could have used a couple people. I just spent an enormous amount of time picking fruit instead. However, in about 2 or 3 weeks, there are some farmers near me that I'll be going out and helping them because, well, frankly, they've got a lot of mangoes to pick. Now, I'll flip the camera around. I'm going to show you what solarizing looks like. Now, this is my nursery area. And right now, I'm mostly doing tropicals and semi-tropicals. This is what solarizing looks like. Now, black plastic works better than clear plastic, but down here in Florida, clear works just fine. It will absolutely fry anything that's underneath it. And if you see over by the beehive over there, there's that tall grass. That grass is called Kogan grass. And it is an invasive here in the south, and I need to not have it in here. But this is what solarizing looks like. It's fairly easy to deal with. It takes a little bit of time to put it down, and you got to get creative to get it to stay down. Weights, spikes, whatever you have. So that's what most of my beds look like right now. Not all of them, because I have at least 3 of them that are presently planted with okra. Because I want a good okra harvest this year. It shouldn't take too long for me to be getting plenty of okra. They start off slow, but then they jump. The problem with doing the okra this time of year is it isn't quite rainy season. In some years, I'll plant early like I just did, and they get about this tall, and then they stunt. Their growth just stunts. They just stop. And that's not terribly abnormal. A lot of times I wait until we're steadily getting the afternoon rains, and that usually starts around July 4th, give or take a week. It did get a little wetter this late spring and early summer than most years. That's why I went ahead and planted them. We'll see how that goes. But what most average home gardeners here in Florida need to be doing right now is harvesting whatever they have left. They can plant okra, eggplant, sweet potatoes do really well. And otherwise, you cover your beds, get your other stuff in order, figure out where and when you're going to start your starts for September, because it's best if you actually start those, usually speaking, very beginning of August. Inside, because if you do it outside, it doesn't work. So having a good grow light system, that's important. Having a dedicated space that you can keep kids, animals, whatever away from it. And sometimes that can be very challenging. A south-facing window is okay, but it'd be better if you had actual lighting. And being able to keep the temperature about where you want it for starting seeds, which is about 80 degrees. 75, 80, depending on exactly what it is you're growing. That's where and what we need to be doing during the off season. And of course, picking copious amounts of fruit. So, let's see, next up for me is mangoes. I've got about 200 of them on my tree. Maybe a little more. And that's fine. I only got the one tree, and that's more than enough for my family. If I had more land, a lot more. No, I don't grow opium. Poppies do not grow in Florida. So you got to talk to somebody much further north. You're looking at northern part of Zone 8. maybe if you're lucky, zone 9A, if it was already established. But no, I don't grow poppies. They don't grow here. But there are people that do. Bear in mind that growing poppies, if you have too many poppies, the federal government comes and takes you away. And it's something like a quarter of an acre. So if you have any significant amount of poppies, you could have a problem. Now, I don't grow anything like that. Simple fact of the matter is, I'm a family man, and I don't want those type of problems. Other people do it, that's their business, not mine. Mango trees are easy and difficult. So it depends on what variety of mango tree you get. Like I have a Namdok Moi, sometimes called a Namdok Mai. It's one of the more difficult mango trees, and I don't recommend it for a beginner. However, that being said, something like a Kerry or a Cogshell tends to be really easy to grow. And then if you want something that's absolutely no maintenance whatsoever with copious small mangoes on it, you can grow the turpentine mango, which is a good root stock. No, I don't grow weed. Sorry. Closest thing to weed I grow is actual weeds. About 200 varieties that pop up here in Florida. Now, speaking of weeds, I want to show you a plant that used to be commonly sold here in Florida. It was literally everywhere. Meant to be a house plant. Many people planted it outside. It is now not legal to grow in Florida. This stupid little plant is next to impossible to destroy. This is a form of wandering Jew known as turtleweed. It used to be a common plant. Everybody had it back in the 80s. They usually had a basket of it hanging in a south-facing window, and it would cascade down. They put it on the Florida invasive species list a few years back, made them take it all out. Now it's only me and other people that already had them. However, that being said, we're not allowed to sell these, trade them, give them away. And it's actually recommended that we destroy them. Now, to give you an idea how evasive it is, it has followed me through 5 houses. I didn't plant it. It was just in my stuff that I moved. And that's the problem with it. There's a lot of plants like that. A lot of common household indoor plants do really well in Florida, and people will plant them outside and they just go nuts. No, I don't grow coca leaves either. I'm not even sure you can grow coca leaves in Florida, but if there is somewhere in the United States you could grow it, it's probably here, and it's probably evasive. Now, I'm going to show you another evasive. Now, this one's got a good food value, but it's a terrible pain in the butt. And its cousin is even worse. Yeah. So, this plant is normally known as ube. It is a greater African yam. It's not from Africa. It happens to come from the Philippines. This plant right here, and I can tell it's an ube because of the color, this color right here. Because the white yam, the winged yam, which looks very similar, doesn't have that color. Now they have a cousin here. Yeah, it happens to have a cousin that was brought here intentionally. It was brought here by the Florida Department of Agriculture through the University of Florida to see whether or not it had medicinal values. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, if you eat it, it'll make your teeth fall out. That plant is generally called an air potato. Now, since the Florida Department of Agriculture does not separate the difference between the African greater yam, which is Dioscora alata, scientific name, and its cousin, the air potato, which is Dioscora bulbifera, that is technically an illegal plant. It's on the invasive species list. It's so evasive that it's traveled a grand total of 5 feet since I first found it 10 years ago. Yes, actually, I do have a coffee plant. Honestly, I haven't checked on it in a long time. I guess I'll go for a walk and go check on it. Coffee does very well in Central and South Florida, and as does chocolate, and vanilla, and cinnamon. Hey, Daggin Hills, welcome in, my friend. Now, my coffee plant should be in the ground, but when I moved to this particular house, there was no shade. And coffee, the best way to grow coffee in Florida is to grow it underneath a bunch of great oaks. You put them underneath the oak trees to protect them from the frost when we get our frost, and protect them from the ultraviolet radiation during the summer. And they do really, really well. So let's see. I haven't been back over into here in a while. It's alive. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I need to water that. So this right here is coffee. And I guess I need to get some water over here on it because it's looking a little crispy. I hadn't even thought about it. So appreciate that. Another fruit that is in season right now, and I'll be picking a bunch of them here today. Oh, where's that button at? Oh, I gotta go backwards so I can. There we go. Yes, it has had beans. About every other year it'll produce, and we roast them. Growing that is under the oak trees, and you get hold of some volcanic soil and feed it to them. So this is my fig tree. It's not a very big fig tree, but it's got a lot of figs for being a little fig tree, and most of them appear to be ripe. And one of my kids absolutely loves the figs. This is her favorite fruit, so she's been having a bad morning. I will have to send her out to get some. So, yeah, coffee does well here. I do have a couple friends that do cacao, aka chocolate. There is a lot of concern that where chocolate is being grown in Central and South America and parts of Africa, that the environment is going to change too dramatically and they will not be able to produce the chocolate. Well, we can produce an awful lot of it here in Florida. I just use a compost tea. Literally made from the compost of my garden, which is mostly weeds. I'll change the view here for just a second. So this is the work area right outside of my nursery area, where I'm using an old Ford pickup truck as storage and a workbench. That's my old table saw. I'm going to be firing that up real good real soon. I've got some things to build. Now, we probably have about 9 weeks before the major vegetable season kicked off. Generally speaking, we don't start getting any significant amount of tomatoes until right somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oh yeah, that little chainsaw, I've been beating the tar out of that little mini chainsaw, Daggin Hills. I did eventually break down and have to go have the blade sharpened. I don't actually have the files for it. I went to Ace Hardware and they were happy to do it. I think they charged me $5. It's well worth it. And it's actually better now that it was sharpened over at my local Ace. And it's not the best chainsaw I ever had. It's definitely nowhere near the worst. And I have beaten the tar out of that thing. I have cut down so many things. I mean, at this point, we're into the thousands of small trees that I've cut down with it. Probably tens of thousands of branches off of trees. For a while, I was just carrying it in my truck instead of my hand pruners because I broke my little handsaw. And I was using that instead until I had a chance to get me another little handsaw. And man, I can't tell you how appreciative I am that I got that thing. And the price, I couldn't beat the price. They sent it to me for free. But even that, I think it was like 20 or 30 bucks at the time that they sent it to me. I beat that thing up so bad. I've actually got the next step up from it now. Instead of being the 4-inch, I've got the 6-inch. Man, that thing's great. Oh, welcome in. I'm sure you had a rough night in Tel Aviv. I know what's going on over there. I served and I understand. Oh, it's also part of the reason why I garden. It's a lot more peaceful than the things that I had to deal with back in the day. Now, I do want to show you my lemon tree. Last year I had a banner crop, and generally speaking, lemons do 1 year of just a little bit, and then 1 year very heavy. That's true with most citrus. But this year is still going to have a reasonable amount. Now these won't be ready until sometime around Christmas. And this particular variety gets to be about the size of a softball. But it bloomed nice and heavy. Nice and heavy. Yeah, there's probably, I'd say maybe about 150. So about half of what I got last year. I think I have figured out that it has to do with something I started doing to fight the greening. See, greening is running rampant here. And one of the things I started doing was I started making sure I put down oak leaves or even composted oak at the base of the tree. And every year that I've managed to get that down, I've had an extraordinary amount of extra going. And this year looks like it's going to do pretty good. So with that in mind, I actually started doing it to this poor little thing. Turns out I bought a citrus tree that had both of the major diseases, but they had sprayed something on it that covered the fact that it had it. And a few months after I got it in the ground, I noticed it started having issues, which is a real shame because this was like a $200 tree and it's toast. Right there's bad. It's just going to whittle all the way down. The whole tree is loose in the ground. it'll have to go. That sucks. I bought that for myself for my birthday. I've gotten maybe 5 pieces of fruit out of it in 7 years. And that was with a reputable dealer. Of course, with a reputable dealer, sometimes they get stuff from other people just to kind of fill the void. And that's what happened there. I'd gotten that from Flying Dragon Citrus Nursery that used to be up in North Florida, up by Jacksonville. And he drove down to South Florida and got a load of citrus and actually dropped that off to me on the way by, which was really nice of him. But it turns out that that one was pretty bad. Yeah, I do a lot of fishing. Well, I'm in Florida, so we do a lot of fishing here. I actually was doing fishing live streams. I haven't had the ability to do so lately. See, I'm on a burner phone here. My regular phone, something's wrong with the microphone on it, and I can't do live streams without a plug-in microphone. Every time I get a plug-in microphone, it breaks within 2 or 3 uses. I just broke another one like 2-3 weeks ago. It's not that they're expensive. It's just when you're buying 5 and 6, 7 of them a year, man, it's horrible. And you'd think, you'd be like, oh, you should be more careful with them. This last one broke, as in just fell apart, while I had it attached to the phone, in my stand, like in the thing that this is presently in, and I was talking into the camera, filming a video, and it just fell apart right in front of me. Nothing even touched it. It just went. Come on, man. That's not cool. I don't care if it only costs $15. I used it twice, and it just fell apart. And I've tried more expensive ones. They're just as cheaply made. So far, I've yet to find a microphone that doesn't get destroyed relatively quickly. So if somebody out there happens to be watching this, and you make a quality microphone that can plug into my smartphone and it's not going to fall apart on me, why don't you contact me, because I'm kind of tired of my equipment falling apart. Hey, if you look a little bit like George Washington, I look a little bit like George Washington, cool, thanks. That's a hell of a compliment. I'm about the same height he was too. Maybe that's what I'll look like when I get a little older. Although, I'm not English, I'm Irish. He was English. He was second son of an English noble. No, I'm just Irish. Funny that I have an English name, though. Now, here in about 6 weeks, I'm hoping to have, well, between now and 6 weeks, I'm going to have the state of Florida out here, because I'm getting certified as a microfarm in the nursery. That way, some of the stuff that I'm producing that's overspill, I'll be able to make a little bit of money off of it. We're not talking about making any type of serious money here. It's maybe some gas money, and as we know, gas is ridiculously expensive. And maybe a little bit of money to be able to go fishing every once in a while. Because being able to get out, go fishing at least once a month makes all the difference in the world for me. If I can do it once a week, I'm a really happy person, but that never happens. But while I'm out there doing things like that, fishing actually incorporates directly into my garden. It's one of my main fertilizers, is fish. I can't, well, let's see, what time is it here? It is 3:31 p.m. Oh, it's actually a little bit later than I thought it was. I wanted to do this around lunchtime, but never actually got a chance to get outside. I had some things happen that I had to take care of. So I'm running a little late. I'm trying to live stream more often. And with any luck at all, I'll figure out how I'll be able to have people on here with me. I've done that before with the help of other people, but not being able to live stream for a good while, I've kind of lost the touch of what it is I need to do on that. Oh, right now, us Florida gardeners, we need to focus on building our soil. You need to do that year round. This time of year, you can really slam it down to make for a good season next year. Here in the next couple of days, I'm planning on running to a local landscaping company that produces their own I want to call it compost, but it's not really compost. It's like halfway composted compost, which is great because it's got more time to actually break down here. They do it for free. You can take as many as 5 truckloads in a year for free. They determine what a truckload is, so don't go, oh yeah, 5 truckloads, and then show up with a dump truck, because that's 1 truckload. To you, that's 5 truckloads to them. If you pull up in a pickup truck, they're more than happy to fill it for you for free. The idea is that you'll come back to them for other supplies. Right now, they happen to be giving away free mulch. You're allowed 2 truckloads of free mulch. It's fantastic. You just pull up, they take your little tractor, dump it in the bed of your truck, you go on your way, you go do what you need to do. The idea is when you need your lawnmowers fixed, new lawn equipment, things like that, you'll go to them instead of the box stores. And it seems to be working. It seems to be what has kept this place alive over the last 20 years, when a lot of smaller landscape supply companies went out of business. And they get a lot of this stuff for free anyway. See, the free mulch that they're giving away, they didn't buy mulch and give it to you. They got it from our local environment. They got it from a company called Asplund, a company I've had drop many things here. Many loads that they just backed up onto the empty property next door, dumped like 13 yards over there for free. It's a lot of work with a wheelbarrow by hand and a shovel. That's hilarious. So I say fantastic a lot because it's one of my might have to do something with growing up in Disney's backyard. However, that company that is dropping the loads over there, and they've dropped a lot of them here, it's supposed to be free. They gotta pay to dispose of it. And if you talk to the company, it's free. And generally speaking, you tip drivers $20 to $40. That way, they get a little something. You're not actually supposed to do that according to the company. If you do not do that, they won't come back. I had a load come here a couple years ago while I was not here. And they refused to come back. They put me on a list saying that I am a problem because they came here while I wasn't here. They dumped the load. I had no idea they were even here until like a week later, and I walked over in the empty lot and went, is that a new load? Cool, thanks. The next time I ran across the crew and said something to them, they actually came here, sat in front of my house, talked to me for a minute, made a phone call, packed up their stuff, and left. I was a little curious about that, so I asked a friend of mine that actually works for the company, and he's like, oh yeah, you didn't tip that one crew that came by. Oh, guys, that's not cool, man. I wasn't here. You dumped them. That's fine. I appreciate the load. I really needed it. But then put me on what you're calling a blacklist because you didn't get tipped your $40 while I wasn't here. That's not cool, man. So if somebody happens to run across that, sure would like to be off that list. I could use about 3 loads right now. Meanwhile, I've been going over and getting the exact same thing for free from these other guys. I'll be doing that. I'll be getting half composted stuff first. Now, my idea on doing this was to do about 45 minutes to an hour, and according to my clock, it's almost 45 minutes. So I'll probably be getting off of here in the next couple of minutes. I got some other things to do. One thing I gotta do is I gotta get a whole bunch of fishing equipment out of my truck if I'm gonna be able to go and pick up that compost or any mulch. Oh, another free resource I found here is there are several horse farms, and they're always willing to share a little bit of horse poo. Yeah. Y'all have a good day, and happy gardening.